The President of the United States has publicly declared a war on the media. This is an unprecedented context for journalism and a difficult environment for the Washington Post, specifically, the newspaper of record in Washington. He called you during the campaign dishonest and phony. How do you intend to cover his presidency?
Well, he called us worse than that, actually. He called us the lowest form of humanity, and he also called us the lowest form of life itself. We want to cover his presidency the way that we would cover any other presidency. We want to cover it honestly, honorably, in a straightforward way. We want to tell the truth. We would like to have a normal relationship with this administration. So far, that's looking difficult. The first days are not very promising.
How are you going to cover, for instance, the press conferences of the spokesperson of the White House when he tells blatant lies in them?
Well, what we did in that instance is that we reported that he was not telling the truth, that he was telling falsehoods. He was not telling the truth about the size of the audience that the new president had at his inauguration, and all the evidence showed that he was not telling the truth. So what we did is we reported what he said, but then we said that he was not telling the truth. And we're going to do that whenever there are falsehoods that come out of the White House, as we would with anyone else. I think it's important to remember that we're in the first days of this administration. This is the first week of the administration, so it may be premature to judge, but the early signs are not very encouraging.
Do you intend on treating President Trump's tweets as official statements from the White House or from the president?
Well, they are official statements from the president. They come, in many instances, they come directly from him. I guess he's sitting down and putting out a tweet at 3 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning or whenever he does that. We can't ignore what the president says. We couldn't ignore him when he was the president-elect, and we can't ignore him when he's the president of the United States.
I don't just want to focus on Trump. Let's talk about the Washington Post and the context of the industry in the United States. What's your forecast on the print edition?
Well, I try not to make forecasts, but the reality is that we live in a digital era. It's obvious. Everybody has a smartphone. Everybody's on social media. So we live in a mobile and social environment. So print is not going to be around forever, and it's going to become a smaller and smaller part of what we do. I don't know whether it's 5 years or 10 years or something longer than that, but I do know that it's not the future of our business.
Someone in your position, maybe 10 years or less ago, would focus 100% of his time or her time in the print edition, designing the front page. How much do you invest in the digital part and in the print part, if you can make a percentage?
Well, it's hard to do that, but I would say probably 90% of my time is spent on digital and 10% of my time is spent on print.
Are they doing enough in fighting what we now call fake news, which, I mean, I believe has been around forever? You know, we know falsehoods that have been around, the war in Iraq. There were a lot of fake news there, right?
Well, there were wrong facts.
Yeah.
But I think what's happened now is that there are websites, ideologically motivated websites, that exist for the purpose of spreading completely false news to advance an ideological agenda. And that's concerning. And so I think that, Facebook is under pressure to try to deal with that. They announced a new initiative just a couple of weeks ago. Google has a trust project. They're working with newspapers like ours to try to improve the credibility of information on Google and on Google News and when you do a search. Obviously, we're not where we need to be, but all of these companies are making an effort, and I think it's a sincere effort on their part.
What would you recommend that someone, a young guy who wants to be a journalist nowadays, how can you gain the best skills in order to be a journalist in the digital age right now?
Well, look, I mean, I think there are a lot of opportunities for young journalists. A lot of people who are going into the profession are concerned that there won't be jobs for them. But in fact, media is actually an exploding field if you look at it in the broad sense. So people have to learn all the new skills. They have to learn all the new tools that we have, video, audio, how to write in a different style. And so young journalists need to know that, but they also need to have just the same old things, which is they need to be committed to the process of verification. They need to be committed to truth. They need to be committed to holding powerful individuals and powerful institutions accountable. And they need good ideas for stories and good ideas about how to improve our business.
The last question. The Washington Post was born as a newspaper of record of Washington. It has been a metropolitan newspaper for a long time. You actually changed that. You turned it into a newspaper that covers Washington, which is a lot to cover, but then with a national and international way of reporting on the world. How would you define the Washington Post nowadays as it does journalism in this current context?
I would say that we're now a national newspaper, a national news organization. I don't even use the term newspaper anymore. A national news organization that aspires to be international, but also is committed to covering its own community, its own region at the same time, and to doing a good job of that. But fundamentally a national news organization.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.